Hello everybody and welcome back to FNM Modern here at GameSwap in Mason, Ohio, brought to you by Top Deck Productions. For round 3 we have two pretty spicy, pretty unique decks coming up in Modern. You may have seen this Obzedat's Vengeance deck being played on some of the big YouTube channels for Magic. It's a pretty unique deck. It uses Obzedat Ghost Council, the Esper Legend, and ways to reanimate it to basically cheat it into play.
Legend.
That's what I said.
You said Esper.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Obzedat Legend, yes. You reanimate it, and once it's in play, it's very hard to deal with as it gets exiled every turn. And Andy Falk will be playing that deck on your right, and then on your left, we have Zach Harris on Tezzerator Gifts. So also an Esper list, but very different, using Tezzerator and Artifact synergies, including the Thopter Sword combo.
Yeah, I think Zach's got a Thopter Sword combo with the Gifts Ungiven package. So I'm not sure if he has Elish Norn or Iona. But I know he's got.
Oh, he has that. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, but I think the gifts package more than anything is just kind of a value set in here. You know, you can get the sword, a Thopter combo, but a lot of the times you can just use it to, go get a path and a fatal push and a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, and a Noxious Revival.
Yeah, and a Noxious Revival. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. And so one thing I do know about the Obzedat decks, don't they also play Jace?
Yeah, they play Jace Vryn's Prodigy, which is so this deck is built around Obzedat namesake card, and the Vengeance part is of course Goryo's Vengeance, which lets you reanimate a legendary creature for the turn. What it does is it uses the effect of Obzedat to, instead of exiling Obzedat to Goryo's Vengeance for good, you exile Obzedat to its own trigger, and that lets you keep replaying it every turn. But it also has a synergy with Baby Jace, Jace Vryn's Prodigy, because it gives the creature haste. If you reanimate Jace Vryn's Prodigy, you can then use its ability to flip it into a Planeswalker, which of course prevents it from then being exiled by Goryo's Vengeance. So a pretty cool deck.
Yeah, and then you can also you can use your Jace to recast
your Goryo's Vengeance,
the next turn.
Yeah.
So deck.
Andy with the Triple Inquisition opener, as well as a Pieces of a Puzzle, and I believe that's an Obzedat.
It's actually a pretty good chance that Andy's going to run out of targets, right? I mean,
yeah.
Especially when they're all Inquisitions, if he's got any 4-drops, yeah, so he won't be able to take. So this is interesting. Andy has 3 Inquisitions, and his opponent has a Gifts Ungiven and a Tezzerator in hand.
Yeah.
Probably the cards that
you want to take the most
about. Yeah.
Of course, Path is a must-take for this Obzedat deck, because that's one of the few ways you can get rid of Obzedat.
Yeah, and Fatal Push is not bad against the Jace, too.
Right, but it does not deal with Obzedat.
Yeah, but I wonder how much Zach knows about Andy's deck at all.
Well, if he is up to date on the media of Magic on the YouTube verse, he's probably seen at least somebody go over it. I know it's been making the rounds on there.
Recently?
Yes, very recently. This is a pretty new deck on the field.
Well, the deck itself.
Well, now he knows.
Yeah,
now the jig is up.
Yeah, the jig is up. This deck is actually very old. It's as old as Obzedat is.
Okay.
It hasn't always used Jace.
Sure.
But Obzedat has been a real card for a while. It's shown up in the sideboard of Abzan decks, but people have played it with Goryo's Vengeance for at least probably maybe a year or two.
So Zach opted to take the Pieces of the Puzzle with the Thoughts. He's probably the best pick there, as it gives Andy the most value in the future.
So both these players have kind of awkward hands right now. They
basically doing nothing for a little while.
Yeah, are they each stuck on 2 lands? That would be very funny to see them both stuck on 2 lands.
They might be.
Interestingly, Andy can actually do something with 2 lands if he finds a Goryo's Vengeance and a way to discard his Obzedat. But Zach can't do much at all with 2 lands.
Right. He opted not to cast the 3rd Inquisition there. Probably didn't trust that last unrevealed card was a legal target.
Yeah, this is very awkward so far.
Yeah.
Awkward start.
You know what would be a spicy play? This obviously doesn't work with Inquisition, but theoretically he could cast a discard spell on himself to get rid of Obzedat and then reanimate it with Goryo's Vengeance.
Sure.
He could do that with Jace, but. So we'll see, did Zach find a 3rd land? He did.
Oh, that's big. Yeah. Yeah, you want to be the one to not be stuck on mana here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
These decks do not operate with 2 lands like some decks in Modern.
This is probably not the Esper mirror that most people expect.
No.
Tezzerator versus Obzedat's Vengeance.
To be fair, though, there are so many weird Esper decks out there. Ad nauseum is an Esper
that's
deck.
true.
All the weirdest decks are Esper.
Death Shadow, Esper Control, Ad Nauseam, like you said. There's like some weird, like probably Eldrazi builds, things like that.
You got all your stupid people playing Narset Transcendent and rebounding their Esper Charms.
I don't know who those people are, but sure.
Oh, they're out there. They're out there.
Flashback Thoughtseize.
They are the spawns of Satan.
Woo!
Oh, baby.
That is exactly where you... Just kidding. You don't want to see more than one Obzedat. Probably the whole game. And there's a Goryo's Vengeance. Okay, well. Andy's draw not coming together at all.
Yeah, this is one dysfunctional Ghost Council here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, they're flip floppers. You know, there's 3 versions of them. You know, some days they say one thing, sometimes they say another.
So Andy did find something he could cast the Serum Visions. He's tanking on this. He's tanking on this Scry because he doesn't have another land, but he does have a path. I don't really think you take the path. I mean, sure, Snapcaster is hitting you for a little bit, but you need to get your game plan going to be able to advance this game. Kept both on top? That is very strange. So he kept a Serum Visions and a path. He's going to be drawing the Serum Visions first, but he can't do anything.
What does he want the path for?
I don't know.
Does he? Now, one realistic line here for Andy is to try to draw 7 cards and discard.
And discard an Obzedat?
Yeah, discard to hand size and then use the Goryo's Vengeance in hand.
Yeah, sure.
But
that's a line.
Yeah, it's not a line. That's what I think.
All right, and Zach found a Thopter Foundry. Not gonna be able to cast it this turn. And he's going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, well, you know, last round we were talking about the Hallowed Moonlight taking care of Norin. Hallowed Moonlight will also take care.
Sure.
Wait, will it? That would exile.
Yeah, it gets rid of Obzedat. Okay, so Andy kept a Thought Scour there on top, hoping to dig a little bit deeper in his deck. But he did not find a land yet. So that definitely seems like a mistake on the scry there. If you're going to scry Thought Scour path to the top, you probably just want the path on the bottom. Well, I guess he knew he was going to mill it. I don't know. That seems a little weird to me, but...
Yeah, that's a strange scry.
I think I'd rather just put both to the bottom. Yeah, missing all these land drops, I don't really know if Andy has a way to get back into this game.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, well, okay, especially with the Thought Scour there, so there is the chance that you mill your last Obzedat or maybe a Jace. But leaving the path there cuts down on your chances to do that because you know one of the cards you're going to mill is a path.
Sure.
Jeez, Andy still has not found a land. Is he at the discard to hand size yet? No, he's got 7. So Zach's going to cast the Gifts.
Man, this is so awkward.
Yeah, the lack of land's really just... I mean, Andy can't really do much.
It does go to show you, though, the extent to which this Tezzerator deck is kind of dirtily.
Yeah, right.
You know, his opponent is literally doing nothing. I guess he tore apart his hand. Early, but you know his opponent has not done much of anything. And this Tezzerator deck, although it's setting up its combos, you know he's preparing the Tezzerator. He's preparing the Gifts Thopter. I mean, God, what is it like? Turn 7 here?
Yeah, maybe 6 or 7, I'd say.
Now, obviously, Zach can present a fast clock just by making some
5/5 artifacts.
Yeah, he can make some Thopters and then ultimate Tezzeret. But even that is a couple turns away to be able to present lethal, right?
So Zach chose Wormcoil, Gifts, Crucible, and the Sword to give to Andy.
With the Wormcoil engine.
Yeah, the Wormcoil engine's nice.
Yeah, so the way you play against this Gifts Ungiven into the Sword is you essentially always want to give them the sword,
right?
Because they can't do anything with it in hand.
Yeah.
Really, they have to cast it.
So he milled the Sword. He gave him the Crucible and another Gifts. That does not seem correct. I think I would have given him Crucible Sword.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't care if he's playing lands.
No, you can't really give him giving him the Gifts just allows him to seal the deal.
Yeah.
You know, then there's I mean, if one of these decks resolves 2 Gifts Ungiven that you don't answer.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do?
They have everything. I mean, they have everything at their disposal.
Okay, yeah, and Andy's just gonna scoop it up. Yeah. No lands there. He wasn't.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Wasn't
awkward,
able to advance his game plan at all.
So what do we think? What do we think these decks can do to fight each other? I don't think I don't think I have a good handle on who's actually favored here.
Yeah, I really don't know.
It's kind of a strange matchup.
It really is, because like, so Zach is probably running Ensnaring Bridge in his Tezzerator deck, which stops Obzedat from attacking, but does not stop the end of the battlefield drain 2 trigger.
The life drain, that'll get you.
Yeah.
I wonder if they each want to, bring in a counter package like negates.
Sure.
But they're also both playing so much hand disruption that it's tough to tell how much you want to bring in counter magic.
Right. So Andy, on Andy's end, he does probably have some artifact removal to bring in.
Yeah, and when Andy wants artifact removal, and he also probably wants Graveyard Hate.
Yeah.
Graveyard Hate is going to be a big deal.
The combo,
yeah, stops most things that Gifts Ungiven is doing. Stops the sword combo. Also, something that stops activated abilities is pretty good. If you're able to, if for example Andy has like a Linvala, I don't know. That's only. I can't think. Do you want Stony Silence? It shuts off Darksteel Citadel and Sword combo.
Sword combo. Yeah, I think Stony Silence is probably good enough.
It also shuts off the Talismans.
Yeah. Yeah, Stony Silence is probably good enough.
So I guess you want Stony. I don't know. Is something like a Pithing Needle, or a Phyrexian Revoker worth it to deal with the
Pithing
Tezzerator or something?
Probably is all right. You can stop the Thopter Foundry itself.
Yeah, stop Thopter Foundry, stop Tezzerator.
That's probably about it. But
yeah, I mean, stopping the Talismans doesn't seem like a good one for one trade.
Yeah, as someone in the chat noted, you could sideboard in more land. That's always a good plan.
Could sideboard in more land. That would help. Yeah, not a bad play. Yeah, I would guess this Goryo's Vengeance deck actually doesn't have as much land as you think. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of ways to filter, so it's probably a little bit low.
You think of Esper decks as, I don't know why, but to me, I think of an Esper deck having a lot of land. They don't have.
Yeah, well, the typical Esper, control list obviously is going to have a lot. I call that typical. I don't know. That's probably the most commonly thought of thing when you think of Esper.
Well, I guess to me, the most, until the new Esper Death Shadow decks, to me, any Esper deck has sort of a high curve,
right? Because
all of your best cards in Esper in Modern for a long time have been Lingering Souls, 4-drop Sorin, and Esper Charm, and a lot of these cards, you can't play cards like that with 22 lands.
I like that. I saw a Ceremonious Rejection in Andy's deck there.
That seems good, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it can be awkward because there are some cards countering a sword doesn't do anything for you.
You can't counter Thopter Foundry.
You can't counter Gifts Ungiven.
It might actually not be that good.
Yeah, you can't counter.
You can counter Crucible and Snaring Bridge.
You can't counter Tezzerator.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit counters Crucible and Snaring Bridge, the Talisman.
I'm not wild about this, especially the Ceremonious Rejection. Your opponent has
Wormcoil. Maybe he brought it in for Wormcoil.
Sure, but your opponent has Academy Ruins likely, so they can get anything back that you counter with Ceremonious. I don't know.
I saw him also sneak a Surgical Extraction in there at the end.
Surgical Extraction
that's good.
Is big here. Yeah, absolutely.
And actually. Well, Zach also likely brought in Surgical Extractions, right? Because you can take out the things they target with the Goryo's Vengeance.
Sure, yeah.
I see a lot of extracting here.
Yeah, the Graveyard Hate that either one wants to bring in is kind of iffy because any symmetric Graveyard Hate is really bad. Neither of them can afford to play Rest in Peace in their decks. Neither of them really wants to play Relic of Progenitus. Zach could want Relic of Progenitus if he was playing War of Invention or something, but I don't think he is.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have any symmetric Graveyard Hate here. And once you take that out, there's not a lot of options. Either one of them could have Leyline of the Void.
Sure.
But that seems bad.
So Andy kept a much healthier hand. Well, maybe too many. He's got 4 lands here, double Serum Vision, just Pieces of the Puzzle.
Well, that seems good. Pieces of the Puzzle is great. Pieces of the Puzzle, for those who don't know, is a 3-drop sorcery that it searches the top 5, but you can get as many as 2 instants or sorceries.
Right.
So it's actually a pretty good card.
And the rest goes in your graveyard, which is also relevant here because it's a way to mill your Obzedat or Jace.
Yeah, I actually I saw Pieces of the Puzzle played as a 1-of in Infect. I saw a player go turn 1 Noble Hierarch,
just to get some
turn 2 Pieces of the Puzzle.
Just to get some pump spells going?
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. So I saw that Zach had a Grafdigger's Cage in his hand there, so that's another sideboard option because that prevents Obzedat from being reanimated. Oof, so would have been nice if Andy had his Ceremonious Rejection there, but...
So does Grafdigger stop Zach from doing anything, though?
No.
Well, so I know Zach is playing Snapcaster Mage.
Okay, well, it stops that. So yeah, he has one in his hand, actually.
Yeah, so it stops his own Snapcaster.
It doesn't stop his main Tezzerator Thopter plan, but yeah, it does stop that.
Yeah, that's a little awkward, though.
So Andy's going to pass the turn.
I can't. It's not quite coming to me just yet, but I think that Graph Diggers might also have another negative impact on Zach. Oh well, Zach has an Academy Ruins in hand, but he
also can't use that.
Wait, can you? No, you can still.
You can target them. I think.
Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, maybe he thinks it says the cards and graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities.
No, that's ground seal that says.
Oh,
that.
okay.
No, Graph Diggers just says cards can't be cast from graveyards or libraries. I think.
Okay. Now there's 2 lines of text on Graph Digger's Cage. So what is the second one? In the game here, we're seeing Zach Thoughtseize Andy. Andy's hand is Path, Pieces, Ceremonious Rejection, not looking too good anymore, and Goryo's Vengeance, which is basically dead until he removes his Graph Digger's Cage. So I'd probably take Pieces here.
Oh yeah, so creature cards can't enter the battlefield from graveyards or libraries. Players can't cast cards in graveyards.
Okay, so you just can't cast cards in there. Okay, so he would be able to target with Academy Ruins. Yeah, so we'll see the Thoughtseize get rid of Pieces there. So hopefully Andy's able to find some sort of artifact removal, because this Graph Digger's Cage is really lacking on his whole game plan. Of course, he can just eventually hardcast Obzedat.
Sure. Well, hardcasting Obzedat is a good play. I mean,
yeah.
the card is good.
Oh, it's fine.
Like I said, I've seen it actually played in the sideboard of Abzan midrange, and of course, Abzan midrange doesn't play a 5-drop unless it's great.
That's true.
And
yeah.
so Obzedat is just not a bad card.
And there's an Obzedat. All right. So eventually, we might see this hardcast.
Yeah. So I wonder, are there any targets for the Ceremonious Rejection in Zach's
Does that
hand?
matter? No longer in his hand. There's a Thopter. The sword of the Meek is in his hand.
Right, but that's
that's
not
not really
so.
what you want to counter.
I don't like the Ceremonious coming in here.
Well, it would have been very good on turn 1 had he countered this Graph Digger's Cage.
Sure.
But of course he's going to use Serum Visions on turn 1 over that any day of the week probably.
Yeah, you're not exactly anticipating the holding up turn 1 Ceremonious to counter turn 1 Graph Digger. That is unfortunate though.
Zach has double Tezzerator.
And unfortunately, you can't counter these Darksteel Citadels.
Yes, you do not cast lands, contrary to popular belief.
You can't 1-mana wasteland your opponent there.
So let's see. So that's a Fragmentize there in Andy's deck. That's a way he can deal with this Graph Digger's Cage. See some Stony Silences. It looks like he brought in a lot of good cards.
Yeah, Stony Silence is definitely good. But again, it's also it's good that it stops the combo. But it doesn't necessarily stop Zach from just generating a lot of value with Tezzerator.
Right.
Tezzerator makes artifacts into 5/5s.
Yeah.
And, they can still attack through a Stony. And then artifacts still exist on the board through a Stony, so Tezzerator's ultimate is still relevant.
Yeah, it still does a lot of damage.
And he can't generate a ton of artifacts without the Thopter, but he can generate quite a few. And of course, Tezzerator's ability drains for twice your life total.
Collective Brutality Andy may have drawn?
That seems good here.
Just to rest, I mean, you discard your Ceremonious Rejection or something.
Okay, it's very misleading to call it duress though, because if it were duress, it would have been great here.
Yeah, it's very bad.
I actually had an opponent try to duress me in a tournament with Collective Brutality.
And just taking any non-creature card?
No, he had like a Russian Collective Brutality, and I'm like, he's like, duress you, and I'm like, it's not a duress. He's like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it's not a duress. And I called the judge.
It only targets instants and sorceries.
But I wonder if my opponent had been telling other people that day, duress you.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
It was actually right when Collective Brutality was pretty new still.
Huh.
And I bet my opponent was either just an idiot or scumbagging people, but be wary, folks. Collective Brutality is not a duress.
That is not what Andy wanted to see. Instead of the 5th land there, he sees another Obzedat. Yikes.
Yeah, that's these are some awkward games for Andy.
Yeah, we really have not. So this Obzedat, it has been doing pretty well in leagues online as far as I know. It's been pretty popular, but just not a great showing in this particular game. Andy is 2-0, of course, which is why we have him here on camera, but his hands just really have not been working.
I feel like Thought Scour is simply not enough self-milling. I feel like this deck...
Well, you also have pieces of the puzzle.
Sure.
Which puts at least 3 cards in your graveyard.
But how many pieces of the puzzle do you have?
I think it runs the playset.
A playset? Okay.
Yeah.
So
I like this line.
So you got 4 Thought Scours, 4 pieces of the puzzle.
I think we're going to be equipping up these Sword of the Meeks onto our Snapcaster here.
I like it. I'm a fan.
Why is Snapcaster tapped? Maybe it's main phase 2? No, maybe not.
I was gonna say, I want a deck like Andy's to be running something like Faithless Looting. Because at least in the games, so far what we've seen, both games he could have done a whole lot if he could just get one of these Obzedats in his graveyard.
Well, we're gonna see Obzedat coming down here.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Resolves, yep. Unfortunately, the Obzedat trigger is a life drain, not a damage, so he's not able to pressure Tezzerator quite yet.
Right. Well, but it is. I guess I don't understand. Isn't Obzedat a 5/5 haste?
No, it doesn't have haste.
Oh, okay. Oh, it comes back with
haste. It comes
haste,
back
though.
with haste,
Okay.
yeah. It doesn't
Okay.
have haste just on it.
Okay. Because it would have been great to swing at
yeah,
that
well,
Tezzerator
that would have
there.
been ideal. Next turn, he can attack. He has to clear away. He does have the capability to clear the way with this.
So remember the interaction in round 1 tonight with the multiple Nor in the Waries?
Yeah, that was round 2, but yes.
How does that work with multiple
Obzedats? So you would see both enter the battlefield triggers, and then you'd have to choose one to sacrifice to the legend rule.
But so you can pick up some multiple triggers here.
Yes, I believe you would be able to, because both enter the battlefield. Oh, he just ultimates a Tezzerator, and that's game.
Hey, he's at 13 life. He's got 7 artifacts.
Yeah. All right. So really awkward draws from this Obzedat deck. That's unfortunate. I really would like to see this deck in action. It is pretty powerful when it gets its game plan going.
And it looked like he had a decent sideboard plan with the Stonies.
Yeah.
But yeah, huh.
Mm-hmm.
We also didn't see any Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
That's true.
Doesn't Jace Vryn's Prodigy
discard a card?
What's the +1 on the?
The +1 is give a creature -3/-0 until your next turn or something like that.
Well, maybe not as relevant here.
Yeah. So we see a lot of sideboard hate here from
so 2 bridges collective.
Look, jeez, Andy almost brought in about 15 cards there.
Wow.
That's his entire sideboard.
Well, they all look
triple
good.
Surgical, triple Stony
They
Silence, Fragmentize,
good.
Negate, Ceremonious Rejection.
Maybe except for I'm not wild about the Thoughtseize in a GIF against a GIF's Snapcaster deck, and I'm also not wild about Ceremonious here. But yeah, 3 Stonies and what are those Fragmentize, Negate?
Yeah,
those all seem great. So yeah, just an unfortunate series of games, but definitely some cool decks. Very very cool decks. I would love to see the Tezzerator player experiment with Whir of Invention. I think Whir of Invention is one of
instead
the
of the gifts package.
Yeah, instead of the gifts package. I think that card opens up a lot of neat deck building space. But I'm also very, very excited about this Obzedat deck.
Yeah, we'll might see more of it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us for what is this, round 3?
This was round 3, yes.
All right. So we'll be back for round 4 pretty soon here. So don't go away. And just a reminder for those of you, I think we'll get a message up here in chat, but. Donate to the Patreon. We've got a Patreon set up for Top Deck Productions. I actually became a member just last week, getting involved with a sustaining contribution, so I give monthly. But you can actually just do a one-time donation, and there are even aren't there some prizes?
Yeah, I think you can get some packs if you sign up.
A rewards program. Top Deck will send you, I think sealed product in the mail or something. So. Anyway, check that out. I think we'll get a link up here in chat soon about the Patreon.
Additionally, we did just become partnered with Twitch, so you can now subscribe directly on Twitch. Either way supports the channel. If you want some rewards, go with the Patreon side. But if you like the content and you want to keep us supported, keep us improving, and keep our channel alive,
please
consider that.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks
guys.
so much, guys.